Dear student, welcome from Kumilla Online School. How are you? I hope you all are well and you all stay at home. Today I am here again in a different things. First, I would like to show something so that you can understand our today's topic. Here it's a duster and it's a marker. So if I say the duster is short, is it right? And if I say the marker is long, is it right? Another way I can say the duster is shorter than the marker, and I also can say the marker is taller than the duster or longer than the duster. So guess what can I start today? Yes, you are right. Our today's topic is degree. Do you know what is the meaning of degree? Yes, adjective of comparison. Degree means adjective of comparison. Okay, let's know what's our learning outcome. After my class, you are able to know about adjective to describe the formation of the sentence of degree, and you will be able to change the degree one sentence to another. Okay, dear student, do you know what is adjective? Okay, let's see on the whiteboard. Adjective is a word which qualify a noun or pronoun in a sentence. Some of adjective come before a noun and modify it, then we call it attributive adjective, and some of the adjective comes at the end of the sentence and qualify whole the sentence, then we call it predicative. Dear student, okay, let's discuss our today's main topic, degree. Do you know what is the meaning of degree? Degree means adjective of comparison. When we compare something with one things or more things, then we call it degree. Actually, adjective have three forms. One is positive and other is comparative, and number 3 superlative. So degree is three kinds: positive, comparative and superlative. When we don't compare with anything, actually the base form of adjective is called positive. I already told you that the marker is long. Here long is a base form of adjective, and I also told you the duster is short. Short is the base form of adjective. So it is called positive degree. When we don't compare any adjective with other, then we call it positive. And if we compare between two things, I already told you the marker is taller than the duster, and I also told you the duster is shorter than the marker. So here I compare between two things. When we compare between two things, then we call it comparative degree. And when we compare more than two things, the adjective which is used to show the best or worst is called superlative degree. If we compare between three or more than three things, then we call it superlative degree. Okay, let's start to change the degree from one sentence to another. Do you know how many steps or how many things we need to do to change degree from one sentence to another? Three things to do change degree. When we want to change positive to comparative or comparative to superlative and vice versa, then we need to follow three things. We need to do three things. First one, we need to know how to change the formation of sentence. First, we need to know the formation of sentence, and then secondly, we need to change the phrase. There are some phrase in positive, comparative or superlative. We have to change the phrase, and also thirdly, we need to change the form of adjective. By doing these three things, we can change positive to comparative or comparative to superlative and vice versa. Dear student, if you know three things, you can change any sentence from one to another. Just look at the whiteboard and follow how I can change this sentence. I already mentioned, first you need to know the formation of sentence. Here, if we find very few, then we can say it positive. Just I need to change it into comparative. The comparative sentence start with subject. So, the subject of positive degree is at the end of the sentence. So, Saqib Al Hasan is a subject. Comparative sentence start with subject, then verb. Here, are is verb. So, Saqib Al Hasan, here all rounders is plural. After very few, the noun and verb will be plural. But here Saqib Al Hasan is third person singular, so we can use is as verb. Then we need to use comparative form. Then any other or then most other. If we find very few, we can use then most other. And extension. After very few or no other, there is extension. All-rounders in the world. If we change the sentence into superlative, then we should follow the sentence formation. Superlative degree start with subject, and then we need to use verb. Then when we find very few or then most other, we can use one of, and then superlative form. Before superlative form, we must use the. The superlative form of good is best, and then extension, all rounders in the world. So, in that way, we can change any sentence into another. Dear student, three things we need to do. Firstly, we need to know the formation of sentence. There are two types of sentence. The first one is with very few, no other, then any other, then most other, then all other, or then many other, superlative form or one of superlative form, and sometimes superlative form with of all. If we find these types of phrase, then we can change in that formation. Look at the whiteboard. Here you see positive sentence start with very few or no other, then extension, verb, as or so, and positive form, then as, and then subject. And the comparative sentence start with subject, where we can see the subject of positive sentence at the end of the sentence, subject, then verb, then comparative form, then any other, or then all other, or then many other, or then most other, and then extension. And you see superlative sentence start with subject, then verb, then superlative form or one of superlative form, or sometimes superlative form of all, then extension. Here I would like to mention you that in this formation we use so something as in the negative sentence only, but we can use as both in affirmative sentence and negative sentence. And also after very few, we must use plural noun and plural verb. The second type of sentence, if we don't find very few, no other, then any other, then most other, superlative form or one of superlative form, then we can change the sentence this type of formation. Then positive sentence will be started with verb 1. I here mention verb 1 because there will be two verbs. So first one I mention subject 1 and verb, then as or so, then positive form, then as, and then subject 2. And when we change into comparative, we use the last subject at the first. So I mention here subject 2 plus verb plus comparative form plus then, and then subject 1. That means the subject of positive sentence, first subject set in the at the end of the comparative sentence. And here I mention you that if we find any sentence in affirmative sentence, then we must use the other sentence in the negative sentence, and if we find any sentence in the negative, then other sentence will be changed into affirmative. Secondly, we need to know the phrase that we use in different sentence as follows. If we find very few in positive sentence, then we can use than most other when we change it into comparative sentence, and we can use one of superlative form or superlative form of all in the when we change the sentence into superlative degree, and when we find no other in the positive sentence, then we can use then any other instead of no other when we change the sentence into comparative, and when we want to change the comparative sentence into superlative, we can use only superlative form. So by changing this phrase, secondly, we can change one sentence to another sentence. Thirdly, we need to know how to change the form of adjective. There are two types of adjective. One is short adjective and other is long adjective. Generally, the adjective of one or two syllable is called short adjective, and adjective of three or more syllable is called long adjective. We can form comparative and superlative degree in various way. If we find the adjective of one or two syllable, we can form the comparative form adding er, and we can form superlative form adding est. Adjective of one or two syllable, take er to form comparative and est to form superlative. Here I mention tall is positive degree, and I only add er to make comparative degree, and add est to make superlative degree. Here there are some words. I think you will change the words into comparative and superlative. Here I would like to read out: short, small, rich, poor, cheap, weak, strong, great. I think you will do that. Dear student, adjective of one or two syllable ending with e, we can only take r to form comparative form and st to make superlative form. Here I wrote an example: nice. You see here there is e ending of the sentence, so I only use r. I only take r to form comparative form and only st to form superlative degree. So here there is another, there are some words. I think you will do it: noble, large, fine, safe, simple. If a one or two syllable adjective ends in a vowel followed by a consonant, then the consonant becomes double when er or est added. Here I wrote an example: big. Here z is a consonant and before there is a vowel. Vowel and consonant. At the end, one consonant and one vowel. Then while adding er, consonant becomes double, and while adding est, the consonant becomes double. So here follow, there are more words you will find. I mention here some words: fat, fit, hot, thin, red, glad, sad. Every word ends in a vowel followed by a consonant. So when you change the word into comparative or superlative by adding er or est, it becomes double. If one or two syllable adjective ends in a consonant followed by y, y is changed into I when er or est is added. But if the y is followed by a vowel, then the y remains unchanged. Here I mentioned dirty. The word ends in y followed by a consonant. So here I use I instead of Y. When I add ER and when I add EST also, here I use I instead of Y. Here there are some words you can follow this: busy, dry, happy, ugly, heavy, lovely, healthy, hungry, easy. Every words ends in Y followed by a consonant. So when we change these adjective into comparative or superlative, we must use I instead of Y when ER or EST is added. Adjective of 3 or more syllables are formed adding more and most before the adjective respectively. When we find any adjective in 3 or more syllables, then we can change the adjective into comparative adding more and change the adjective into superlative adding most. Here I mentioned word attentive, here 3 syllable, then so I use more to make the word comparative, and I use most to make the word superlative. Here there are some words I wrote here: beautiful, careful, difficult, famous, generous, interesting, and you will find more words when you study your books. Some words do not follow any rules. We call them irregular adjective. Here I mentioned we should memorize them. Here I mentioned positive, good, comparative, better, not gooder, and superlative, best, not goodest, and here bad, not better, but worse and worst, and far, further, it's okay, but farthest, not farer or farthest, little, not littler, but less and least, many or much, not manier or mucher, but more and most, late, later or later, last or latest, out, outer or outmost, up, upper, uppermost. So dear student, now you know how to change any degree to another degree. Here I wrote a sentence: prevention is better than cure. I already mentioned you there are 2 types. In one types we find very few, no other, then any other, then most other, or superlative form. But here we find only then. Here there is no then any other or then most other. So we follow the second types of sentence. First we need to use the subject to, cure, and verb. And I also mentioned you, if the sentence is affirmative, the other sentence will be negative. And as it positive sentence, we should use as or so. Then positive degree, better is comparative degree, we can use good, and after as, and we can use the subject 1, prevention. So this way we can change the degree by 3 ways. One is to know formation of sentence, the other is to know use phrase, and the third one is to change the adjective base form to comparative and comparative. Here I wrote another sentence, and the sentence start with no other. So we already knew that the positive sentence start with no other or very few, and extension, verb, as or so, positive form as and subject. But if we want to change it into comparative, first we need to write to subject, then verb, then comparative form. As it 3 or more syllable, brilliant, 3 syllables, so we can use more before the adjective, brilliant, more brilliant. Then we can use then any other, as we find here no other, then any other. You know, if we find here very few, we can use then most other, then any other, then extension. after no other or very few, we will find extension. Student in the class. If we want to change the sentence into superlative degree, first we need to write subject. As we know, superlative degree means subject plus verb plus superlative form or one of superlative form plus extension. So here subject plus verb is and no other, so we can use only superlative form. I would like to say we must use the before the superlative degree. Most brilliant and then extension, student in the class. So if you know the formation of sentence and how to change the phrase and how to change the adjective, the form of adjective, you can change degree from one sentence to another. Dear student, now I would like to give you homework. Here I think you have all have this book. Go to unit 3 and page number 28 you will find activity 6 and 29 you will find activity 7 and page number 31 you will find activity 10. I hope you will complete this activity, and also I want to give you 10 sentences you will practice. If you practice by following my lecture, by following my class, I hope you will do it. So best of luck. I hope you will complete your exercise, you will complete your homework and show it to your class teacher.